of the snow in this winterland used to look so pretty, now making me moody. In the deep woods, alone with my fields, spent too much time thinking, in the end you'll be with me. Maybe I'm just getting it now. Time I took a little time out. Demons really catching up. Honey, what if there's still meaning? Oh, my heart is slowly bleeding. You said we still got today. Trust me, that right now is all that matters. No, nothing lasts forever. This is just a winter stage. I'm so bitch. Not getting over it. Try to succeed with the stuff I do, melodies and rhythm, like paying the bills with them. Get emotional, but I know want to make a mark with them, so I'll not be forgotten. Maybe I'm just getting it now. Damn, I took a little time out. Demons really catching up. Honey, what if there's still meaning? Oh, my heart is slowly bleeding. You said we still got today. Trust me, that right now is all that matters. No, nothing lasts forever. This is just a winter stage. I'm so bitch. Not getting over it. Trust me, that right now is all that matters. No, nothing lasts forever. This is just a winter stage. I'm so bitch.
Welcome everyone to the APNIC Products and Services session. My name is Melody and I will be your MC today. This session is to introduce APNIC's product and services and also share updates that might interest you. Before we begin, there's always 3 things that I would like to remind you. Firstly, please be mindful of the code of conduct published on the APNIC 50 website, and we have just dropped the link in the Zoom chat. If you have any questions or comments during the presentations, please raise your hand so we can unmute you. Alternatively, you can also type your questions in the Q&A box. For questions that's not related to presentations, but are related to the conference or the social space, please use the Zoom chat box. If you're feeling confident today, do share a photo of you joining us from your home or your office on Twitter or Facebook using the hashtag APNIC50. That's all from me. Now we're going to try something a little bit different for this session. I have my moderator next to me, but because of social distancing issues, we're going to move back and forth from this camera. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce our moderator for this session, Anton, who is APNIC's Product Development Director, who will introduce the speaker for this session. Over to you, Anton.
Hello, Melody, and thank you very much for the introduction. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the APNIC Products and Services session. This is our first virtual session. It's slightly shorter than we usually have it, so we hope we're going to pack a lot of good information in a short period of time. All good? All right. So why the session? The session is for the product teams to really give you an update of what we've been doing the last 6 months, specifically since our last update in Melbourne in February, but also to share some of our forward-looking plans with you. So today you're going to hear from 6 speakers. 4 of the speakers are product managers, and they are product managers from their core areas, the registry, information, membership, and the academy. And in addition, you'll also be hearing from our member services manager, Vivek. But to get this on the go, I would like to introduce our first speaker. Dale Roberts is our digital customer experience manager and overall responsible for the user experience of our products. Over to you, Dale.
Thank you very much. Can I just have my video shown? I think it's being turned off there. Okay, fantastic. All right. Hello, everybody. This is Brisbane calling. My name is Dale, and I am the Customer Experience Manager here at APNIC. For my update, I will be obviously talking about customer experience here at APNIC. Okay, so what do we actually mean by customer experience? It can obviously mean lots of things to lots of different people, but here at APNIC, it essentially is the experience you as a member organization or as an individual have with us here at APNIC. Now, that could be anything from using the resource manager to using the APNIC Academy or even this virtual conference we have here today. For you to have a good experience with us, we want to ensure a few things. Number one is that we do what we say we'll do. That's incredibly important. Also that you can easily do what you need to do. So the task for your everyday work. That you get support if you run into any issues, that you're aware of all the products and services available to you, and that we're providing value to you or your organization. Now, we can't actually do that alone. Your feedback is vital for APNIC members and the community to have a good experience. We can't come up with it on our own. We need you and your feedback to do this. So how do we actually get your feedback? So there's a number of different ways that we get your feedback. One of the ways we get it is that once you're actually using our products and services, we have a lot of different feedback channels. There's some little surveys that may pop up when you're using the APNIC website. We may send you a survey after you've done some training or one of our conferences, or even we'll be doing a little quick survey at the end of this session. And that's a really good way that we can get some feedback from you. That's across the organization and our different products and services. So what we do is we review all that, we centralize it, and then we look at ways that we can improve that or ways that we can look at investigating that further, because we may not have the answer straight away. We might need to find out more information. Also there's the APNIC survey, and that's an incredibly important channel for us. You would have seen in this first session today, that's been released today, the results of that. Now we do that every 2 years, and it's huge. It's a really big survey. We have over 1,000 people take part. It gives us great feedback to plan and to see what we're doing well and where we can improve and what's important to you. And we can plan out the next couple of years of our activity. And of course, we'll use those results to improve our products and services as well. But that's only every 2 years. So we do need to get more feedback as well in that time. We can't just wait every 2 years to hear from you. So that's why we have a group called Community Insights. Now, essentially, that group provides feedback to us, of course. They get to test prototypes and new features before anyone else gets to see them. So it's a bit of a bonus from that. Also, the testing can be anything from just like a couple of minutes, something really quick, all the way up to maybe sort of a one-on-one interview virtually these days at the moment. But you get to choose what you take part in. You're not obliged to do anything. We won't spam you too much on this. We like to throw things out and see what you'd actually like to take part in. For some of that, there is incentives and prizes available at times, but not all the time, maybe for the more lengthy ones, because we know your time is really important. But most importantly, if you help us, it helps the whole APNIC community. So that is really vital. And we really hope that you would consider taking part in this. So that sounds awesome, I hear you all say. Dale, how can I join? So there's a really easy way to do that. So you can join the Community Insights group at apnic.net/yoursay. The address is pretty simple there. You just go onto that, there's a form, you give us your details, and then we'll contact you over time about different opportunities to get involved. But most importantly, don't forget. And we know that you may forget because you've actually told us before. This is where feedback works really well. At APNIC, at the last conference we did, we actually asked you, like, would you like to be involved? You would, but hang on, you're probably going to forget about doing it. And when you're at a conference and you're listening to speakers, you know, you might think it's a bit rude to jump on and sign up with anything, but we're in a virtual world now. So you can definitely sign up and take note of this link. So I'm going to share it again with you. This is really important. It is apnic.net/yoursay. So that's to join the Community Insights group. Write on a post-it, open up another window now, open it up. There's actually going to be a blog post today as well. So we really encourage you to get involved. Your feedback so far, and we want to say big thank you for it, is going to be a lot of the work that you see from my esteemed colleagues talking about their products. The reason they've been able to do that is because of your feedback. And there's so much exciting stuff coming up, and we really want to get your feedback on that. So make sure you sign up to that. We really want to hear from you. That's all I've got to say today, is very much around joining that Community Insights group. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dale, for that presentation. So far, we do not have any questions for you, but if anyone have anything to ask Dale, please do type it in the Q&A button that you can see at the bottom of your Zoom, or you can also raise your hands. So we'll just give it a few seconds while we wait. And while we're waiting, I'll just hand it over to Anton to moderate and introduce the next speaker as well.
Thank you very much, Melody. Hey, Dale, I was just wondering, I mean, it's our dream to grow the Community Insights program. But until we do, for those individuals who are wanting to give us feedback, who are not on the Community Insights program yet, what happens to their feedback?
Pretty much if they provide feedback to anyone at APNIC, it's always going to come back to us, and we're always going to look at opportunities for improvement, whether that be a conversation you have with an APNIC staff member. If you're even in the social hop-in today, we have a user research booth there. You can actually go and have a chat with anyone from APNIC, and that feedback will get back to us, and we'll see what we can actually do about that. We also know there's a lot of other great channels out there. The mailing list, we know there's a lot of activity on there, and there's a lot happening that we will take in. So the Community Insights and the survey isn't the only lot of feedback. It's all those different channels with like a lot of streams and rivers coming into one sort of big lake that we take it all in. So if you provide us feedback, we will certainly take it on.
That's great. Thanks, Dale. It's always good to know. Just give us feedback. We need that feedback. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you.
With that, I'd like to introduce the next speaker, Sophia Silva. Sophia is the product manager of our information team. So over to you, Sophia.
Thanks, Anton. As Anton mentioned, I'm Sophia. I'm the product manager of the information products. And today, during this short but very informative time slot, we will go through an update on the APNIC information products. So let me first share our agenda for today. We will first take a look at the Dashboard for Autonomous System Health, or DASH for short, the Network Operators Toolbox, NetOx, and finally to the Internet Directory, or ID. DASH allows users to get information about suspicious traffic that has been seen going out of their networks. Users can compare different periods of time and also see how they are doing in comparison to their economy, to their subregion. They can also get some more detailed information about exactly where that traffic is coming from, so they can see the individual IP addresses and IP prefixes. A new feature in the first full version of this product that we have recently released is the Request Additional Insights that allows users to make a request to the APNIC security team to get some more information and maybe even some guidance. I will be sharing about each of our products in this Kanban format that you may be already familiar with, what we have done, what we're currently working on, and what is coming up next. So for Dash in particular, in February, in our last conference, we had some interviews with potential users, which allowed us to identify more ways of offering value to users and to improve the usability of this product. This allowed us to release just a few days ago the first full version with some improved features compared to the prototype of this product, and also with a better usability. We are currently open to receiving feedback about this version. And coming up next, in the next few months, we will be working on some new features, like the possibility for users to set up alerts and to detect potential BGP hijacks. You will see for this product and for the other products that improvements based on learning from users is covering the 3 columns. As Dale mentioned, we always want to learn from users. So this is an ongoing activity for us. We want to learn from users, based on that, identify opportunities for improvement, and then implement those improvements that will have the most impact. So as I mentioned, we will be working on some new features. And if you would like to participate in activities that will allow us to make the detection of potential BGP prefix hijacks easier, please sign up to the Community Insights program that Dale told us about, because as soon as these activities are open, we will send invites through that program. There's also the mechanism of the feedback button that is present in all our products on the right, that you can click on and give us your feedback. In particular for Dash, as I mentioned, we have recently released the first full version, so we really would like to hear your feedback about this version. Our next product is NetOx, which is a set of tools for network operators to analyze their own networks or other networks to solve routing issues and make better informed decisions. We have also recently released a new version of this product. So what we have done is we worked on a new welcome page that clearly communicates what this product is, who it is for, what users can do with it. But this new version also includes the new Chinese language option, which is part of a localization pilot. We are also currently working on validating some ideas for new widgets. So we have a survey open, which I will tell you more about just in a few seconds. Depending on how that validation goes, coming up next, we will be probably working on implementing some new tools based on the learnings from that survey. So as I mentioned, we have this survey open that is for us to learn from network operators what meaningful data we could offer them. So if you're a network operator and if you have a few minutes, please follow this URL and participate in the survey. And our last product, but last but not least, is the Internet Directory. The Internet Directory is a portal that offers information about how Internet resources are distributed and used in the Asia-Pacific region. We have also done some usability tests. So during our conference in February, we were still able to meet in person with people. You can see in that picture, we were able to sit at the same table even. And we did some usability tests that allowed us to identify some improvements, which we have already implemented. And we also made a small change, which although it's small, I think will have a big impact. And is, you may remember in the holders table in the Internet Directory, users have an option to click on a resource and get more information from WHOIS. We used to have static WHOIS information there, but we have now replaced that with an embedded web WHOIS result, which will allow users to navigate through different WHOIS objects and get more information about that resource. Apart from that, that has been already done, we are currently working on a new widget, and it's the overview widget, which will offer users a summary of what we know about an economy or about a subregion. This widget will offer a new way of navigating the site, so it will have an impact on the user experience of the product. That's why we are doing some more exploration to make sure that it is user-friendly. There is also a survey open for this product, and I will tell you more in a sec. The other thing we're currently working on is some more usability improvements. We are rethinking the way we present the data, the way we aggregate the different data sets that we offer, and the way we allow users to navigate through the site. So we will, although we did some usability tests already in February, we will do some more validation of these ideas. So as I mentioned, we have a survey open. We would love to hear from you in terms of meaningful information that we could include in the summary that will be offered by this new widget, but also we will be running some more usability tests. So if you would like to participate and help us identify ways of making this product more user-friendly, please sign up to the Community Insights program, and we will send you an invite as soon as these activities are open. So let me quickly go through a summary of what we covered today. We talked about Dash and how we have recently released the first full version of this product. We talked about Nedox and how the new version has a new welcome page, but also a Chinese language option. And finally, the Internet Directory and how we are exploring how we can make it more user-friendly. And we are also exploring this new overview widget. But the most important message I want you to stay with is that we want you to have your say. We want you to help us offer you more meaningful information. So thanks a lot for your attention, and I'm opening to receiving questions.
Thank you, Sophia. We don't seem to have any questions at the moment. People may still be thinking or typing their questions in the Q&A box. So I will just hand it over to Anton to moderate the session. Thank you so much, Sophia.
Thanks, Melody.
Thank you, Melody, and thank you, Sophia. I do have a quick question for you. It's obviously very exciting to have Nedox localized into our first language. And I was just wondering, why did you specifically pick Chinese as our first language, and what would the second language be?
That's a good question. So thanks for that. As I mentioned, offering the Chinese language option is part of a localization pilot. We based the decision of going for Chinese language first on user metrics. So we looked at number of sessions from different economies, but also bounce rates and average session duration, and chose Chinese because it's the one that seems it would be the most impactful one. And depending on how this first pilot goes, we will definitely consider other languages. I don't know what the second one would be, but I would like to hear from people. So if there is an interest, please give us your feedback. But again, the decision will be probably will be based on user data.
Excellent. Thanks, Sophia.
Thanks, Anton.
Our next speaker is Peter Blee. Peter is our product manager and curriculum manager of the APNIC Academy. So over to Peter.
Thank you, Anton, and thank you for those making the time to join in for this session. As Anton mentioned, my name's Peter Blee, and I'm one of the product managers at APNIC. I'm excited to share with you this update. It's something we regularly do at the conferences, and I know that there are people in the audience who are users of the Academy. But if you're new to the Academy and not heard of it before, then I'll encourage you to hit academy.apnic.net for further information. So in this session, I just wanted to cover on kind of three key things that I thought were quite relevant and timely. One was looking at some of the key statistics that are coming out of the Academy, particularly given the Academy is probably in its current version a little over 2 years old. And also talk about some of the recent enhancements and also some future announcements that we have to make. So in terms of key statistics, you'll see from the graph here, this is representing the new signups that we've had on the Academy over 2018 to 2020. Probably one of the highlights here is that not only we double the number of users on the Academy from 2018 to 19, but you can see a fairly steep increase in the new signups for this year from January to September. That represents about 9,612 current users on the Academy, many of which are frequent users of the Academy. In terms of the virtual labs, this was a feature that was enabled in 2018 as a pilot, and it's gone really gunbusters. In terms of 2019, you can see there on the graph that there were some 2,654 launches and close to 2,500 hours spent in the virtual lab. We're getting a similar result as well for 2020. And so all up, the academies serve close to 7,000 launch virtual labs and close to 6,000 hours spent, and that's metered at a second based on the analytic information we get. For those of you who don't know about virtual labs, check them out because it is an opportunity for you to spin up topologies from the browser, no client software installed, and cut your teeth on learning some of the more advanced topics in routing and security. In terms of online courses, cumulatively, we're sitting at 3,691 certificates issued from the Academy platform. You can see that the data from 2018, 19, and 20 this year, you can see that in the purple bluish color of those that have been issued this year. This is for the kind of the key main courses, but I should say for those that use the Academy, there's some 50 plus resources on the Academy, but these are some of more of the flagship courses on offer. In terms of live webinars, you can see in total, since we launched live webinars, we have hosted 26 of them, and we've had in excess of 3,000 that have participated. This year, I want to send my thanks to ISC and ICANN and ISOC and AusCert, all who have been guest presenters as well for the webinars. That's certainly driven up the quality of content and also participation. And also in terms of post-March, we introduced live e-tutorials on the Academy. We've delivered over 1,000 to 1,000 participants post-March, and prior to that, we had our usual face-to-face offering. So in terms of then recent announcements, some of these you may have missed, but I do want to bring them to your attention for those that are users of the Academy. We did add to the main navigation menu the course catalog. It's there in the red box. It's the first navigation item. On there gives you the ability to look at particular subject types and pick and choose courses that might be relevant to you in your learning and in your study. The other thing that's really relevant is the Learning Pathways Guide. This is found on the course catalog page. And this gives you an opportunity with hyperlinks on the PDF for you to pick and choose a pathway that might suit you, and to kind of pick whether you're intermediate or intermediate advanced, or whether you want to develop your skills within a particular subject area. The other thing we've also added of late is moving over the course outlines and reskin those on the Academy platform. They used to be on the training.apnic.net, and we're migrating more and more over to the Academy, and that happened in the last few months. The other thing we've enabled on the Academy of late as well is moving to one-click registration. So we're in a pilot at the moment of allowing one click. That is, you log into the Academy. If you see something that you want to do and you want to register for it, it could be a live e-tutorial into the future, or it could be something related to some other work we're doing, then there's the ability to click one button and then you get confirmation, and then you'll you get registered against that. Based on also some feedback we had of late last year and early this year, was the need for more routing labs. So the virtual labs, as you saw in the earlier slide in terms of stats, they've gone off in terms of numbers. So we spent about 4 months, late part of last year and early part of this year, building some 9 routing labs. They're very comprehensive and we can see a lot of uptake on them. Do check them out if you're interested in learning and brushing up your skills in OSPF, ISIF, OSPF or BGP. And in terms of some future announcements, these are announcements yet to be made, but for those of you that have joined in, we will be making some announcements about a new routing fundamentals course to replace a routing basics course on the Academy, launching a new introduction to cybersecurity course, a new internet resource management course, making those improvements for the one-click registration and extending that out further, as well as better integrations for Zoom. And also for those interested, or those from Bangladesh, and Bengalis that are with us, Bangla will be a language support be added to the Academy, and we'll be making these announcements shortly. So I might just hand over now to the MC if there's any questions from the floor.
Thank you, Peter. The APNIC Academy is one of our most popular products, so we might have questions. We're still waiting. So if anyone have a question, please do type it in the Q&A button or raise your hand. So those who are just joining us, APNIC is practicing social distancing while we are having our virtual conference. So I will now actually hand over to the moderator, who is right next to me and disappeared. So come along, Anton.
Thank you, Melody. And thank you, Peter. Yeah, as Melody said, clearly the Academy is growing significantly, and there's a lot of development going on the Academy, which is awesome to see. It's really good. Do you want to say a few words of where you see the Academy in maybe a couple of years, looking forward just to the next steps?
Thanks, Anton. I think what we want to do is we've taken a course of action that's about more quality than quantity. So we have been slow in releasing the amount of courses on the Academy, but the catalog's growing and growing every year. And so I do see over the coming years, we'll strengthen up on our IPv6 deployment and also our security course materials. So continuing the kind of the high quality content and course material, which people value and get their certificates in. I think also the virtual labs, we didn't expect how well they would go. They're going really, really well. And so we did make a concerted effort to do more in that. And I think we'll be doing more practical hands-on, just in time, on demand, things that people want that can fit around their work and their personal life to suit them. So I think we'll do a further investment in supporting members based on their needs for that. And I think probably the last thing would be, I think, a social and discussion capabilities, where it becomes more of a, we get to see thousands of people that have completed a course, but you may not see that there's 1,000 people that have completed a course. So actually building a social component and allowing people to interact or ask questions and having more support, I certainly see that in the next kind of future planning that we're doing.
Great, thank you, Peter, for that. Appreciate that. I'm going to introduce the next speaker. Sorry, Melody. Back to the MC.
Right, thank you, Anton. We actually have a question from Sanjaya. Are all these products and services that APNIC provides free? Maybe you can answer that, Anton.
Well, thank you, Melody. This ties in a little bit to my question to Peter, but yes, I would say the answer is yes. I think it's part of the membership and it's part of serving the community. All our services and products are free. Any more questions? Oh, there's another question here. There's a question from George. The question is about Dash. Can we see the reports from other operators? I don't know if it's possible to get Sophia back online. Sorry, Peter. Is that possible?
Yes, sorry, I was trying to fix a small issue here. Could you please repeat your question for me?
Sure, it comes from George. The question is about Dash. Can we see the reports from the other operators?
No. So Dash offers information about the resources that the user manages. So when the user logs into Dash, they will be able to see a drop down with the member accounts they are linked to. And once they have selected a member account, there is another drop down that will be updated with the origin ISs linked to that member account. So each user will only be able to see information about suspicious traffic coming from their own networks. The idea of this product is to help network operators to solve issues in their own network, but not to publicly shame anyone. That's why we're not offering to one user information about networks they don't manage.
Excellent.
I hope
Thank you
that
very much.
answers your question.
I hope
Thanks.
so too. Thank you. George says thanks with a big smiley face. So there we go. All right, let's move on to the next speaker. The next speaker is Vivek Nigam. Vivek is our member services manager, and he's going to talk about IPv4 reclamation. Over to you, Vivek.
Okay. All right, thank you, Anton. Looks like I can't start my video here. All right, can everyone see my screen?
We sure can, Vivek. Go ahead.
Excellent. All right, thank you. So good afternoon to all of you. My name is Vivek. I work in the APNIC services team, and this is going to be an informational presentation about a project we have been doing to try and reclaim unused IPv4 addresses so they can be put back to use by members who need more IP addresses. So a lot of members, this project originated from the 2018 APNIC survey, where a lot of members gave us feedback that while IPv6 is high on the priority, getting more IPv4 address is still a pain point. And when we asked the members what activities APNIC can do to address these pain points, most members who answered this question said that APNIC should try and reclaim unused IP addresses. And that is the reason we are doing this project. So we started off this project by defining what is an unused IP address. And the definition we came up with is a /24 or more of a delegated prefix that is no longer needed by its custodians. And to determine if these IPs are not needed, we got the list of all IPv4s that we have delegated, and then identified the /24 or larger blocks from that list, which are not visible in the global routing table. Now, simply because prefix is not visible in the routing table does not mean it is not being used, because some members may be using it, say, within an IX or some kind of private cloud network and so on. So we decided that we need to have a conversation with all these members who hold unrouted space and basically ask them that, hey, your prefix don't appear to be routed. Do you still need these IP addresses? So to help us with this conversation, we then grouped all these unrouted address space into different categories based on the policies that apply to them. So the first group we followed up were unrouted space that were delegated from the last /8 pool less than 5 years ago. So as per policy, if our members don't need these addresses, they should be returned back to APNIC. And we identified around 370,000 such IPs held by around 600 members. So we sent them an email in June this year asking if they need these IPs. And then as expected, some members replied, they said they don't need it, they want to return it. Other members said that there have been some delays in the deployments, but they still need these IPs, they will use it soon, and so on. So the next group we followed up were unrouted space delegated over 5 years ago or not from the last/8 pool. And as per policy, if members don't need these address space, they can either give it back to APNIC or transfer it to other members who need more IP addresses. And under this group, we identified around 54 million unrouted address space held by roughly 1,300 members. So we sent them an email in August this year asking them if they still need those IPs. And the third category we followed up were unrouted historical address space. Now, the policy for historical address says that APNIC should try and recover these historic space which have not been used for a reasonable period of time. So we identified around 2.3 million such unrouted historical IPs. And as part of this project, we are now making one last attempt to contact the custodians of these historical IPs and find out if they still need those IPs. And staying in historical, we also identified another 1.1 million voluntary returned historical IPs. And after checking that they're no longer being routed, we recycled them earlier last month. And apart from these groups, we also identified around 53 million unrouted IPs held by the NIRs. So we are now planning to work with them and encourage them to undertake similar activities so they can also recover their unused IPs. So this is pretty much the update I have on this project, but related to this topic, a frequently asked question we get asked in the help desk is how can we get more IPv4 addresses? And when we explain to our members that they can use the transfer policy for this, a follow-up question we often get is, can APNIC help find a source account who's willing to transfer IP addresses? So to help our members with their IPv4 needs, we have recently deployed this new transfer listing service in MyAPNIC, which is a neutral space where members, those who have available IP address, can publish the availability of their IPs. So other members who need more IPs can see the list of available IPs, get in touch with that member, and then try to negotiate the transfer of those IPs. Last time I checked, there were 5 or 6 listings already made here. So if you are interested in this service, give it a try and let us know if you have any feedback so we can continue to improve our service for you. And that is it from me. Thank you for listening. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Vivek. That was a great presentation. IPv4 is definitely a very popular topic within our community. So at the moment, we do not have any questions, but our chat moderator, Badrika, just dropped a very good link, a blog post on what APNIC can do to help with IPv4 transfers. So while we are waiting for questions that could be being typed as we speak, or if anyone's interested, you can also raise your hands. I will now just hand over to our moderator, Anton, just in case he himself has any questions to ask Vivek while we wait for the community to ask any questions for you, Vivek. Thank you.
Thank you, Melody. I don't see any questions open at the moment. Vivek, thank you for the very good overview of the project. I do think this is really, hopefully, very beneficial to our community to reclaim these unused IPv4 addresses. Thank you. There is one question from Surav. Do we have to return IPv4 if we don't use it for 3 to 4 years, or is it totally volunteer?
Good question. I think, is that from Saurabh?
Yeah, that's from Saurabh, yes.
I thought so. So Saurabh, the policy for transfers, there's no enforcement. So if you have IPs that are eligible for transfer, it's entirely your choice if you want to transfer it or you want to return it back to APNIC or even hold it, because there's no policy which forces you to do a transfer. The slight difference is for the address space delegated under the last/8 policy less than 5 years ago. So these ones, if you're holding it for 3-4 years, you're not using it, the policy says they should be returned so they can be redistributed to other members under the last/8 policy.
Great, thanks, Vivek. I see no other questions. So with that, I will introduce our next speaker, who is Andre Gelderblom. Andre is our product manager for our membership products. I'll give it to you, Andre.
Thank you, Anton. All right, cool. Thank you. All right, my name's Andre Gelderblom. I'm the product manager for the membership product team. I will go through an update of what we've done, what we're currently doing, and what we'll be doing next with the membership products. So what have we done since the last update? We've got some really sort of exciting stuff that may not be as exciting to you guys as it is to us, but we were really excited about it. We had a complete overhaul of the membership application process over the last few months, and this has produced some really exciting results. We've got a 70% decrease in bogus applications. These are sort of the spam applications that come through, and this frees up a huge amount of time for the membership services team. It allows them to then, focus on more important tasks and deliver a better quality service. Part of this update also allowed for the applications themselves to come through at a much higher quality. And a higher quality application has resulted in a 30% decrease in the correspondence that it takes to process each application. And again, this has resulted in time saving for the membership services team, which adds to productivity. And for the applicant themselves, then the experience is much improved. So overall, we're really happy and excited about these outcomes. We'll continue monitoring and improving where we can, but we believe that the outcome for members is a huge amount of time saving and a much better experience. Something else that we've been working on is a lot of other things, so I'm just going to touch on all of them. As Vivek just mentioned, we built and implemented the IPv4 transfer listing service, which is part of that IPv4 reclamation project. You'll also notice that you're able to vote online for the NRO NC elections, both as a member and as an attendee. Just want to note that attendees have a 2-hour window for voting on the 10th of September. So make sure that if you're eligible, you vote then. So we've implemented that, and so far it's gone really well. We've also done a lot of improvements to the IoT validation, which is part of the Prop 125 implementation. I'm not going to go into detail about all of these. We did a lot of UX and UI improvements that's mostly based on feedback. George O'Doggy will be talking about this in his update in the Open Policy Meeting 2 on September the 10th. So if you want a lot more detail on that one, please go and listen to that talk of his. The other thing we've been doing is helping out with the WebOps team. That's the team that Dale helps manage, and delivering this conference. Thanks a lot to the WebOps team for all their help, and hopefully, and so far, everything's going pretty well. So we're pretty excited about that too. So what are we doing at the moment? Well, at the moment, what we're doing is we are sort of in a discovery phase, trying out an idea that we have that if we create a vibrant space for people to connect, get answers and share experiences, that our community would actually appreciate this. This was on sort of an investment that we wanted to do for this year. We're still sort of looking at understanding the problem a little bit better, researching how we will actually deliver this and how this will benefit our community. So we're still very early in this stage, but what we want to do is have something sort of hopefully towards the end of this year, maybe the beginning of next year, that we can put in front of people and test whether this is a good idea. We believe there's a lot of valuable information that's hidden away, and this is a way for us to allow people to access that information and allow people to share that information. We have some really good platforms already, but there's an idea that, and there's some need that's come through in various surveys where people have expressed that they would like this community platform to exist. So we're currently investigating whether that's a good idea and how to do it. The other thing we're working on is a help center. So while we were looking into some of the requirements for the community platform, a lot of people were mentioning that they find it really hard to find the information they're looking for. They know it's there, but it's not easily accessible. And then they end up contacting help desk, and we get a lot of inquiries that actually have already been answered. So we're looking at a way to improve that experience for our users, allow them to find the answers to any of the questions they have, allow them, and we know we've got a lot of information all over the place. We're also aware that, you know, in some cases it's not as organized as it can be. So we just want to try and improve that where we can. This project is currently pretty advanced. So hopefully we'll have an update in the next couple of months to show you guys and start testing whether this is useful for you all. But we believe it's going to definitely improve the user experience. What are we working on next? One of our priorities at this stage is a smarter MyAPNIC. We already know a lot about the users. We already know a lot about our members. We have a lot of information, and our systems are now a lot more integrated than they used to be, especially since we've introduced single sign-on. So we want to take the next step of that and start personalizing that information, start making MyAPNIC a lot smarter. You know, we should be able to do a lot of the work for you, and we should be able to put the information that's important to you in front of you. So we want to try and work on improving how we do billing and account management. We also want to allow you to set some preferences so that you can decide what you see and what's important to you, and tie a lot of our products and services that all the other product managers have together in some sort of cohesive way that is just smarter overall. Then just generic stuff that we're working on. We're constantly trying to improve the member experience wherever we can. And so we're doing a lot more integrations. This is internal APIs that allow systems to talk to one another. Integration between our products and everyone else's products, so that again we can deliver that smart MyAPNIC and generally a personalized experience at APNIC in general. We also want to focus on stability and speed of many of our applications. So we've identified a few places where we can do this really quickly and other places where it may take a bit longer. So we'll be focusing on that over the next few months as well. Then general system and process improvements, as we've had some really big wins with the membership application form. There's a few other places where we can also do this. So we're really excited about that. So what we need is your feedback. This is how we decide on where we should focus some of our attention. We use the feedback we get, we use the analytics and the stats. So please give us as much feedback as you can. So thank you very much. I know I've rushed through this a little bit, but I'm aware that George is next and I want to give him a bit of time. I'd just like to say thank you to the APNIC 49 user research participants. They really helped us with the membership application form. And as you can see, we're pretty excited about the outcome of that. And then again, another shout out for the Have Your Say. Yes, I know that we're all hopping on it, but it's really important and it helps drive some of the development that we do and the direction that we take. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andre. That was a great presentation. Member experience is definitely something very important to us. And if you have any feedback, comments, or questions for Andre to help improve your member experience, please do type your questions in the Q&A box, or you can also raise your hand if you're confident enough. So while we're waiting, I would just like to remind you of our code of conduct, which is available on the APNIC 50 website. Now, I haven't noticed any questions so far, so we might just pass it on to our moderator, and there may be, still feel free to share your questions because our speakers will be able to see it and answer you by typing the answers. So over to you, Anton. Thank you, Andre.
Thank you, Melody, and great comment. And thank you, Andre. A really good overview of the membership work that you guys are doing there. We are really looking forward to the online community platform. I think this is going to be something that's well needed. So thank you for that. So we've come to our last presenter, and someone that needs no introduction really is our very own George Michelson. George is the PM of our product manager of our registry team. Over to you, George.
Thank you, Anton, and thank you everyone for attending this session. I'm the last speaker between you and the APNIC 50 social today, so I'm going to try and be as brief as possible. Today, I'm going to be talking about the registry product. I want to talk to you first about the work we've done in the first half of the year implementing the AS0 ROA system, and then talk a little bit about our intention for the last quarter of the year, and then finally talk about some blue sky thinking we've been doing called Next Generation Registry. So AS0 ROA for unallocated and unassigned spaces. This is Prop 132, and it has been fully implemented and deployed into service. It was quite a complex system. It has internal and cloud elements, but we were able to use the opportunity to make some quite substantial improvements overall to our registry service. And in particular, from now on, there is a maximum delay of 5 minutes between a delegation taking place inside the services or the NIR actions for sub-accounts under the NIR, and those resources becoming available for use in RPKI. Further discussion of the implementation of the AS0 ROA system is going to be held in the routing SIG tomorrow. So, what are we planning on doing for the rest of 2020? Well, we have 3 main areas that I'm going to focus on today. We've got some improvements planned for our RDAP system. We've got a continuing body of work about accuracy of data held in the registry, and we have a general focus on some service improvements and bugs. The RDAP improvements. We first deployed RDAP in the first half of the year into Google Cloud Services based in Sydney. And our plan is to deploy a second node, which we're going to put into the Asia Pacific region in this quarter. And this will deliver an almost immediate benefit in the round trip time to this service. Even users in the USA and Europe would see an immediate benefit from this deployment. We've been analyzing the budget, and we believe we may have an option to consider a third or a fourth node in the USA and Europe. We're still thinking about this. We've also been thinking about improvements we could make to the service. There are ways we could re-engineer this to reduce the number of round trips that have to be made between the CDN front-end systems and the back-end information. And we also are now in a conversation with the NIR, and as they develop their own RDAP solutions, which are very likely to include local language as well as English language records of the RDAP resources in JSON, we want to be able to bring them into view, probably by doing a redirection from our service into the NIR. Registry accuracy. So we have been in a collaboration with the NIR looking into historical transactions and historical records. A lot of this work has been coordinated by George Kuo, who's been working with the NIRs. The goal here is to improve the central registry accuracy inside APNIC for the more specific data that the NIR maintains inside their own records. And this is across all internet number resources. But we do have an initial focus on AS numbers. This is because the community that consume AS resources in Internet Routing Registry have told us that their concerns with record keeping for AS blocks that have been delegated to the NIR. We also have some associated deliverables in connection with accuracy and reporting of data. This activity is coordinated with the NRO amongst all the RIRs. We've been considering some general improvements to our WHOIS web pages and to the RDAP services, and we are exploring a linkage that we can now make from these information services across to Sophia's product, so that when you query about a resource, you'll be given the URL of a link into NetOgs or other services like ID, so that you can gather more information. And we have a new bug and support process for our general problems and data management in Registry. So the new bugs and process has been adopted internally, has several key deliverables. The main ones are that we want to try and get on top of a multi-year backlog of problems stemming into hundreds of suggested improvements and problems. And we think that this will help to improve service delivery to users across the website with systematic improvements, and to process improvements in the services group, which incurs a lot of work for them, and also help desk traffic that comes into them to clarify what's gone wrong. And we think this will also assist with the NIR because it will improve their processes, which means the NIR sub-account members will also see a benefit. Now, next generation registry. Why are we thinking about this? So, APNIC's current registry management system is really getting quite old. Some of the software components in this system are over 15 years old, and in software dog years, that's very, very old. We've continually extended its functions over this time. We've added feature and we've worked on parts of this, but we have never been able to step back and think about the whole system and say, how would we do this if we started again? Now, this is entirely normal when you have a large, complex software system. There's a point in time when it just becomes more costly and complex to continue maintaining the platform, and sooner or later, you have to think about a redesign. So as we have been adding new functions and thinking about next generation products like RDAP and RPKI, or the WHOIS for the future that we talked about at Apricot, these have higher demands for reliability or for their integrity and their consistency between services. And we think that this is the time when we have to start thinking about a redesign. I have no details about this yet, but we want to give you notice that we're thinking about this, and we will be bringing our proposals to future meetings. So, in summary, we deployed the AS0 ROA, which was a commitment under policy process. It's in production, and we will be discussing this in the routing SIG. We deployed RDAP, and we're thinking about potential for improvement, both by deploying more nodes in the cloud and by systematic improvements to the code. We're looking at accuracy of registry data, continuing to work with the NIRs and with the rest of the RIR community on the ITHI deliverable and our website. We're getting on top of our bugs backlog, and we're thinking about a next generation registry. So thank you very much for listening. And if you have any questions, I'm here and I'm happy to talk.
Thank you, George. That was really insightful. Good overview. Just to make sure people who are interested in the AS0 ROA project work that we've been doing and the impact of that, a good place to go is at the routing SIG tomorrow and the policy SIG.
Yes, that's right, Anton. If you want to understand the implications of this technology, those are the two places where the conversation will be taking place about benefits this has for the wider community in routing integrity and how we've implemented this service.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. With this, we conclude the session. I want to thank all the speakers. It's been a really good overview from everybody in their respective areas. And I hope you all found it very insightful. So I'm now going to give it over to our MC.
Hello, everyone. I'd just like to announce that we're going to run a poll right now for you to tell us how you felt this session went. So while you're rating the poll, I would just like to thank Anton again as our moderator and also our APNIC speakers. If you have any further questions for them, you can email conference@apnic.net. We will now have a 15-minute break before our virtual social begins. We will be running a trivia during the virtual social, and there are also opportunities for you to network and socialize with participants and our speakers. If we don't see you there, then I hope we will see you for day 2 of APNIC 50. Thank you everyone for joining us.